What's up, guys?
Hey Vicente, how's it going, man?
Good.
Good. How's your week going so far?
So it's been good, man. Excited. Big show, great week. Camp has been good, so I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, and I know you're obviously familiar with your opponent from when you guys used to train. Can you just kind of talk about like how much you guys did? Like, what was your relationship like when he was at your gym?
Yeah, I mean, we trained a lot together. I met him in New York in his first fight. I was an alternate for the Kobe Kamaru fight, and that's when we met each other. And since then, we trained a lot at Killcliff, and it was always a good time. He's a very fun guy to be around, and we always had a really good relationship in there in the gym. And yeah, well, other than that, I think that it wasn't much more outside of the gym. We didn't really hang out that much, but we did have a great time in the gym. We did train a lot together, and even like I always looked at him as a guy with a lot of talent that I wanted to pick up some things on, and I think we exchanged a lot of things like that too, trying to kind of inputs on each other's game.
And so I guess where do things kind of stand now, right? Because it started out you guys were booked against each other, and you guys shared a pretty nice back and forth. And since then, like I've seen he's commented some things on your Instagram posts and stuff. So I guess is it weird now? Do you think that was just kind of a one-off comment, or I guess what do you feel about him when you think of Ian Garry now?
I mean, there was a comment that I found disrespectful, so it definitely bothered me. But at the same time, maybe he's just wanting to be funny or whatever, and I get it. We make mistakes sometimes. Other times we just are trying to, I don't know, sell the fight or whatever. And what I do is like I'm not gonna take it personally. I'm here for business. I'm here to compete, and still, I think that after we'll see whatever happens after the fight. I think he's a nice guy. If he's ever going to train with us again or not, I don't know. If he goes, goes there, train with us, we'll train again. We'll see. I think right now we're opponents. We're going to face each other. I have respect for all of my opponents. It's not different with him, but we're going to go in there and we're going to fight each other now.
Yeah, and I mean that was what I was going to ask is like you seem to be handling this all very well, but is it like weird at all? Like that? I don't know if you've gone through something like this before, have you, where you fought somebody you've sparred with this much?
No, this is the first time. I mean, I've had rematches, and that's like you kind of know the guy, you know your opponent, and also I've trained with Bilal before we had the second fight, but this one is different. We definitely train much more. We train a lot, not in the last year that much, but before that we did train a lot. So it's different. It's facing somebody that I know closely in a way, but I don't know. For me, is when it's fight time and like already when it's fight week, it's kind of like it's different for me. This is time for battle. It's time for war. It doesn't matter if you're my enemy, if you're my friend, if if you respect me or if you disrespect me. It's still I'm gonna do the same thing inside the octagon. I'm gonna go in there, try to take you out, be it by knockout or submission. If not, we'll go to the decision. But I'm gonna try to dominate you.
From your training with him and from your studying and just this camp in general, I guess, how tricky of a puzzle is he to figure out? Because we haven't seen anybody be able to figure him out so far. So I guess how do you go out there and do it?
Yeah, I mean, he is, a really young, talented guy, undefeated, for a reason. He's very skilled. And I watched a lot of tape, trying to find openings. I don't really base myself that much on our training because I think training is different than a fight. So obviously I have, some knowledge of what he does. He has some knowledge of what I do as well, but a fight is a fight. It's different. There we're really going at it. So for me, it's kind of like I studied a lot. I worked a lot on what I believe that I could do against him, some openings, and at the same time work on what I've always done of good and my strength. So it's kind of a mix of a little bit of what I can explore out of his game, but also believing a lot in my game and knowing that I can put the pressure. I have the experience to take him, to places where maybe he hasn't been before, and then we'll see how he's going to react.
Hi, Vicente. Just right here.
Okay.
I just have one for you. It looks like maybe Ian may not be coming to media day, and there's been rumors that he may not come to the press conference. What do you think of that? The fact that he's not potentially not doing these media obligations that you're having to do?
I don't know. I believe that if he's not gonna do it, it might. I'm not really into all that is going on. I've just heard a little bit about stuff, and I did hear that he's concerned with his family and all that. So if that is the reason, I mean, I have his back. I think the biggest thing that we have is our family, and whenever somebody disrespects our family or gets crosses that line, I think it's a big problem. So I think it's very unfortunate all that has gone on, regarding him and his family. I think that, that's something super disrespectful, and I understand, so if he feels better like that, I think he has to do what he has to do. It's obviously we have these obligations, but he's opening, if he doesn't come here, he's also in a loss in a way, because it's media that he's going to lose, is an opportunity, to share his side of the story, and that he's going to lose. So he is sacrificing something as well. So, but in order, to have his family safety and everything. So, it's his decision at the end of the day.
Vicente, over here. Obviously, Ian's bounced around from a few gyms now. He seems to be pretty settled in Brazil with Chuta Boxing. So I'm curious, what do you make of him kind of teaming up with that team right now in Charles down there?
I actually I love that team. I love Charles. I also Diego Lima. He's a great guy. I know him for a while back. I have never trained with them, but it was always a team that I looked up to. Shoot the Box back in the days with Vanderlei, Shogun. All these guys are guys that I had as idols for me. So I think it's great for you. It's probably I'm sure that he got a very good work over there. And if he did get, let's say, kind of Shoot the Box is known for the aggressiveness. So if he got that from them, I think it's going to be an even more amazing fight Saturday night.
Vicente, over here. You mentioned in your last meeting today that Ayrton Senna is one of your idols, given that you're a big fan of motorsports. When you're in the cage, do you feel any sense of adrenaline that you would feel inside a fast car?
Yeah, for sure. I think, that's my hobby is racing cars, going to the track, going to car meets. But whenever I can actually take a car to the limits in a track and things like that, that's, I think, the closest that I can get to a fight in adrenaline, in that sensation. And it is addicting in a way. That's why I love fighting so much. But we don't get to fight, 10 times a year. I can only fight 2 or 3. So cars and motorsports is something that kind of makes me feel that a little bit more often during the year, and just be able, to take it in between fights, take that time off and rest my body and have fun on cars.
Awesome. And shifting gears back to this card, big welterweight night in general for the whole division. What type of statement do you think you need to make in order to stand out above the rest of the welterweights competing?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect night for me to fight. I was really excited when this fight got offered, exactly because I'm going to be fighting with the same night as the title is going to be, decided. We have Wonderboy and Shafkat, another big fight, and I just feel this moment in the division, it's open for grabs. Anybody can, maybe 2 or 3 fights, be right there for a title fight, and that's the plan. Beating Ian Garry is not only one more win, it's a win against a guy that has a lot of hype, that, even has the skill to fit that hype, because he's a very skilled guy, undefeated. And beating him, I think, moves me up to that top 5. And then next year, maybe 1 or 2 fights, I could be the next, challenger for the title. So it's a big fight for me, a big weekend for me.
For sure. And just the last one for me. How do you see those other 2 big welterweight fights going down?
So I got Shafkat. Obviously, we trained together a lot for this fight, and I've seen him, and he's super ready for this fight. I think it's and there's also Wonderboy is a beast. I fought Wonderboy. He beat me, but I just feel like this moment is later on his career. It's the end of his career right now. While Shafkat is up and coming, he's a beast. I believe on Shafkat's victory, and on the main event, I'm gonna go with Leon. Just for me, it's I don't know. He's been active. He's coming off great wins over Kamaru, which is a tough guy to beat, and it's just, I think it's his moment right now. Colby hasn't fought for a while. We don't know what we're gonna see, so I'm gonna go with Leon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Vicente, with you and Ian knowing each other so well, is there any thought process of digging deeper into your bag of tricks or particularly needing to do something unpredictable in this fight?
I think that it's a mix of that, I definitely can be unpredictable when I need to. I could just, be really aggressive as well, but I can be patient, calm and collected, pick my shots, and I think a mix of that. So using my experience, that's going to be really important in this fight. I know that I could grapple with him, I could wrestle with him. I believe I have a good, physical ability to go at a high pace during all the rounds, cardio-wise. But also I know that I can put him in danger in the striking. So the fact that I have all these tools and he doesn't know which I'm going to use, and I can choose to use different ones depending on how the fight goes. So I think those are keys for me to win.
And last one for me, do you feel your experience will play an advantage? You've been in some main event scenarios against former world champions, and Ian is having a lot of distractions thrown at him during this camp. Do you feel that your experience and ability to focus will play a factor on Saturday?
For sure, definitely. I think that, I have over 30 fights. I fought, as you said, former champions. I've had 5-rounders. I've had fights that I was losing and I was able, to overcome. So there's many situations I've lived through that prepare me for many outcomes in this fight, and I feel that gives me an advantage against him, especially, considering like everything that is going on. There's certainly a lot of pressure on his back, but at the same time, like when I see and try to anticipate who I'm going to get, I am ready for the best Ian Garry, for the best in skill, best in mindset, and ready for the most dangerous Ian Garry that I can face.
Thank you.
Vicente, obviously you came off a pretty serious health scare after your fight with Jeff Neal. Is that something that lingers over you in terms of preparation, sparring, etc., when you're getting ready for fights now?
I mean, that was something that right when I got out of the injury and the whole recovery, it was a big thing I was thinking about working. I do sports psychology for many years, with in Brazil with my psychologist there, and that has helped me a lot to overcome not only losses but a moment like that. So I feel like right now, after I fought RDA, that really was the moment where I saw, okay, I'm fully healed, I'm fully recovered, and I'm back, to the winning ways. I'm back to performing at a high level. So from that moment on, it hasn't been a concern anymore. I focus on just developing myself, getting better, and now focusing on getting a big win against Ian.
In terms of when you have news like that and you think you might not be able to fight again, I assume it gives you a new lease of life and somewhat of a second opportunity to go and not only win this fight against Ian Garry, but maybe mount somewhat of a title charge over the next year or so. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, when we look at what I went through outside, it's already like a tough thing. But living it inside is even tougher, overcoming all the challenges that was that recovery. I just feel like every day after that is a blessing, God gave me another opportunity to do what I love, that is fighting MMA, that is performing here in the UFC and putting on a show for everybody. So for all that I see now is all blessings from here. So for sure, I'm chasing this title. And I believe deeply in my heart I'm going to be a champion. So it's all good from here.
Thank you.
Vicente, just wondering, with the press conference coming up tomorrow, obviously you got a lot of big voices and personalities out there. I mean, for yourself, who's a little more laid back, how do you prepare to handle all that in front of everybody?
I don't think I prepare much. I just, I go there and I'm ready to see. If they want to ask me questions, I'll answer. If guys want to say anything to me, I mean, I'll see how I react at the moment. I don't really get prepared for these moments. I just think that it's part of the show, and I'm glad to be part of it. That means like It's a big fight. It's a big weekend. I'm one of the big fights that everybody expects, to put on a good show. So I just enjoy this process, enjoy this moment.
When you're up there and you have an event like this, is there ever pressure? Like, for example, let's say if Steven or Shavkat were to start talking a lot to Leon Edwards, do you ever feel like you need to do something so you don't get lost in the conversation after Saturday?
No. I mean, my talk has always been inside the octagon, and that's where, not only, I don't believe in trying to force myself into doing something that I'm not in order to get people's attention. And what I am is a fighter. What I can do, like as good as anybody or better than anyone else, is fight with all my heart. And that's where I talk. That's where I let my my light shine. And that's gonna be it. And if tomorrow I'm lost in the press conference, I have no problem with that. Saturday night, that's where everybody's gonna see what I'm gonna do.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys.